Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how much it costs to actually build this hunk of garbage.
Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to say that I'm just a regular guy who figured this out with the help of the guys in the Raptor Swap page and a lot of research and a lot of reading up on this. And everything I did, or all the parts I found here, were deals that I sought after and looked for, and sometimes drove very far to get parts. So your experience may vary depending on what area you live in, how far you're willing to drive, and how much you're able to negotiate, I guess. So in front of you is the spreadsheet that I basically tracked all of the costs associated with this project. And I have it split up into two parts. On the left side I have required parts, and on the right side I have optional parts. And so what I'm considering are required parts are things that basically you need to make the truck perform like a Raptor. And on the right side I have optional parts, which are small upgrades that I chose to make, or changes that I chose to make to kind of fit my needs specifically, but you wouldn't really have to spend this money to do the Raptor swap in general. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go through every item on this list. I tried to do that, and it ended up being like a 20-minute long video. So I'm just going to do the highlights and kind of walk you through it. I'm sure you can see it and you can pause it if you're trying to get an idea on the actual price breakdown and all this stuff. But so I do have the costs documented specifically. I have taxes and shipping and travel cost documented as well. Travel being like when I drove to Texas to pick all those parts up, I included gas and hotel stay under that. And then I have the total column here. So far on this build, everything, if you've been following along, everything that I've spent totals just under $5,000. So as you can probably see, I have a few things highlighted in orange here. And those are the axle, the diff or gears, and some sort of finish. So I have paint and wrap listed there. So these are kind of like some things that are possible to-dos for me right now. I do think some sort of paint or wrap is going to be required for me. You may get lucky and all of your parts, you may find takeoffs that are all the same color as your truck, and that might work out really well for you. I know one guy that worked out nicely for. The other two, axle and gears. So a lot of guys on the Raptor Swap page are running just the standard F-150 axle with wheel spacers on it. They're not having any issues, and a lot of them drive their trucks a lot harder than I do. So that may be just a cost savings that I may just forgo. Sorry, that may be an expense I may just forgo because it's not really worth it. And especially because I can do gears a lot cheaper. I do think I eventually want to do gears. I want to go to 410s eventually. So these are all costs that I'm somewhat expecting, but I'm not really sure on exactly what I'm going to do. So one thing I may attempt to do right now is just spitball some costs in here to kind of, if you do want to go for basically the full swap, what that would look like in cost. So the rear axle is very expensive, and that's part of the reason why I haven't done it yet. They're also hard to find. So they're going for anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500. So I'm just going to put $2,000 there. And then I'm going to assume if you do that, you're going to obviously upgrade the front diff to a matching gear ratio of 410. I don't really know what those run right now, but I'm going to guesstimate $200 just for the front gears. And then paint or wrap is going to be really pricey. I priced out a wrap at around $2,500 in my area, and that was some of the cheapest I found. and I priced out some paint recently. You can get a Mako paint job, which I'm not set on necessarily, but just for an example, for around $2,000. So I'll just throw that in as well there as a placeholder. So for required parts, we're looking at right at $9,000. I'm going to remove that for now because those expenses aren't complete. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. $9,000 possibly for all the required costs. And over here on the right, I have about just under $700 worth of optional costs, and those are going to be tallied up differently down below. So down here I have basically sold parts listed, and this is something I think you should definitely take into consideration because you can sell a lot of the F-150 takeoff parts that you get. So over here in this to the left side of the screen, you can see I sold things like leaf springs and fenders and the valence and the grill. I'm still expecting eventually to sell the hood and the fender, but haven't sold yet. So far those have sold for what's that total? $600. So that pays for the bed sides right there, which is really convenient. And then on the right, I kind of have a list of optional parts sold. So these optional parts sold, I'm going to put under the grand total, which is basically all of my costs added up with all of the sales subtracted from the total. In this cell right here, required parts minus parts sold are only the required parts column total with F-150 takeoff parts included. So this is probably the number that's going to be most representative to what you have or your situation. So things I have in these optional parts are things that I got in like the package deals that I ended up selling. As you see, I got some springs in the bundle. I got Raptor blocks and U-bolts and brake lines. All that stuff I didn't end up using. Sold my F-150 fender flares, wheel well liners, and bed extender. So all that's taken into account in this cell here. So as you can see so far, my my required parts minus the sold parts are just under $4,300, and my grand total is just over $4,500. Like I said, I do expect this number to go up. I really don't know if I would do an axle. Yeah, let's put this number back in. 2,000. It was 200, and let's do another 2,000 for paint. So since we're going hypothetical, let's say we sold the other fender for $100 and we sold the hood for $300. So right now you're looking at about $8,000 to do the swap, assuming you put in the effort to sell the takeoff parts. You know, it's not necessarily easy, but that is definitely a way to make it more reasonable and affordable. So what I want to do next is compare the cost of a comparable Raptor to my truck. So I'm going to pull up Car Gurus and we'll go over that right now. Okay, so what I want to do now is basically compare the cost of a F-150 that's basically like my truck before I swapped it, and compare it to a similarly aged and worn Raptor. So I have some basic filters. You can see them up here. I put 09 to 14, that's my generation of F-150. I do have a large radius just to get enough of a sample size really to make this kind of effective. What I do want to do is I will put, let's give this, do Lariat, King Ranch. There's not enough King Ranches there. FX4 super popular, obviously there. So let's do a couple trims there because guys might have different starting points. Those are two of the more popular trims. We can ignore color. Let's see, anything else that's important here? We'll do crew cab. All right. I won't choose engine because guys might have different engines. Okay, so this is all just kind of like other random administrative stuff. I did put a mileage cap of 90,000 miles because that's what my truck currently has on it. So for me, that also gives us a way to compare apples to apples on mileage of the vehicles. So, all right, so this is sort of my best deals. Let's see what lowest price gets us. Did it work? These are all sponsored. Okay. So lowest price right here, here in Utah is $27,000, and this is an FX4. So it's got 75,000 miles, so a little bit less than mine. It is overpriced, it claims. This one, great deal at $28,000. Pretty low mileage though. Do we have something to? Okay, here's this one. Mine's a 2013 as well. So this is a 2013 FX4, exactly like mine, with basically almost exactly the same mileage. And it's also marked as a fair deal. So maybe we'll use this one as a comparison because this is very similar to mine. So let's call that $29,000. All right. So now what we're going to do, let's go and we'll turn off FX4, we'll turn off Lariat, and we'll turn on Raptor, SVT Raptor. And just a little caveat before I get into this, if you're following Raptor prices, you know that the Gen 2s are significantly more expensive than this. So just keep that in mind. That's why I'm looking at Gen 1s, because it's the only way. If I look at Gen 2s, it's going to be an even greater price difference, and I think you guys will call foul on that. So here we are. Sorted again by lowest price. Okay. So obviously this one is sponsored, so let's ignore that. So this one, the lowest price here, it's got 81,000 miles. This one is listed at this one basically $40,000. It is marked as high, but yeah, it's 40 grand. I think a lot of Raptors are probably going to be marked high, I imagine. This one's got 85,000 miles, so just a bit less than mine. Is $44,000. This one's $43,000. This one's also marked high. This one's got 45. I wonder why there's a price difference here. This one's got less mileage. I wonder if it has to do with the packages that these trucks. It's also a 2011, so it's a little bit older too. These are 2014s. This 2014 is 44. 43, 43 again, 45. I think this one seems like an outlier. It might have a low class interior. I'm not really sure what the price difference is, but I'm gonna call it 43 grand. I think that's fair. Looking at all these listed here, it's even probably a little low. So basically, if I do my math right, that is a $14,000 price difference on the Raptor versus F-150. So with my current expenses, I could spend $10,000 more and break even. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have the Raptor seats, the switch panel, any of the fancy display, any of the kind of like interior stuff. But I don't need that really. So to me, if I can get away and end up paying 7-8 grand, I think it's a financial win. So I hope this video was helpful for everyone and kind of give you an idea of what it actually costs to do this Raptor swap. And I think the decision is really up to you on if it makes sense. Just a couple closing comments. It took a lot of time to do all this, and it's not financially sensible if you're going to pay someone else to do this for you. Unless you get like a super cheap deal on a guy for labor. So it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of energy. Your truck's going to be down for days, or if not weeks at a time. And also, like I said, you have to be able to find a good deal. So if you can't find a good deal on any of these parts, it's probably not going to be worth it for you. So yeah, like I said, it's not as cheap as I thought it would be, but I still think it's a good deal, especially if you are able to work and do the work yourself. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will try to answer them the best I can. Thanks.